Ladies and gentlemen, I've finally done it. I fixed my upload schedule. Alright, let's just get down to business. In today's video, I'll be going through a deep dive on how I actually make my animations. So, before we get to that part and all the technical stuff, I would just like to say all of the stuff, all of the tools that I use. So, first we have Scratch, the main one. Scratch is a free coding website and it's really useful, and I make everything on it, including the art. Secondly, there's iMovie. I just use iMovie to edit because unlike some other editing apps, you need to pay to get more than 15 minutes, but I plan on making videos more than 15 minutes. So that'll be useful in the future, and I don't need any, you know, like heavy duty technical editing programs. I just need something where I could stitch my clips together. Third one, I just got some screen recording tool that's simple to use. Because on Mac, there's this really annoying thing where they have a screen recording tool, but it can't really capture audio, and that's really annoying. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here is some of the code for episode 1, and it might seem like a lot, but it's really not that complicated when you grasp it. So this bit of code builds a basis for everything. It's my structure on how I'll animate those frames. We have a wait block and the next costume block. The next costume block switches the frame, and the wait block adds some delay. Now the reason I'm using a speed variable is in the middle of this, I could just change it by a certain amount to make actions go quicker at the end, or slower. Also, as you can see, I've used a music block here, and very recently actually I've been experimenting with these music blocks and using them for sound effects, which I think is really cool. Anyways, as we can see here, it says broadcast walk 1, and then this is where I have my walk cycle sprite. So this looks very complicated, but let me break it down for you. So over here I have 5 walk animations, and what this does is just cycle between them. Now this will work, but also to add a bit of extra flair, I've added this. Now, frankly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know what sign it does, but using this setup, it makes some really cool movement. So let me just show you the part where the walk cycle happens. Okay, wait. So, as you can see, not only did the walk cycle play, but also this assigned the movement and made it sway back and forth, which is really cool. And you can use this setup and maybe change X to Y or use rotation to make some really cool things, like if you want your collectibles to float, you could do that. So anyways, I also have this. If I'm spinning and I don't need smear frames right now, I might use this one. And here is my phenom chart. All of the mouths, I just kind of drag them into the animation, and this just for reference if I want to create different poses. And this is where my main animation takes place if I'm not using one of these guys. I just have this, and also this shine, this like sun in the background is this sprite. So overall, once you sort of grasp it, it's not as complicated as it seems. It's just switching between costumes, and that's what animation is, just switching between frames. Although in our modern age, we can also use stuff like tweening and such not. As over here, we've got this swaying movement, and that's not a part of the frames. This is stationary. So yeah, animation is really interesting, and there's so many ways you could do it. I'm more of a stop motion guy, but also I've been implementing some non-stop motion elements, and it's coming along nicely. I know, so let me just show. So this is like the leak from the previous episode, if you couldn't already tell. But I added some more stuff to it, so let me just show it to you now. Oh, wait.
Didn't see you there.
So, what was I gonna do again? Right, I have to get something for my friend. And yeah, so also about that last part, that one was really interesting. I used the walk cycle again. Let me just like play it again for you. Although this should be in front. But basically it switched to this frame, which looks very ugly. But I added the stuff that should go in front of the walk cycle as different sprites. I could create a foreground and a background. And if you're wondering about this reset timers thing, I'm not using the timer right now. I just like used it once to like time this animation. And that's about it. Remember that time I was talking about all of the tools I use? Well, that's a lie. Well, not really. I was just forgetting one important one. Scratch add-ons. Now, if the only time you actually looked at the Scratch interface was in this video, you might be thinking that Scratch is this like dark blue website, but it's really not. It's more of this blinding white with purple. The only reason it looks that way is because of a neat little extension called Scratch Add-ons. And it has allowed me to do so many things that I couldn't have done in normal Scratch. Other than, changing the way the website looks, it adds so many new features, custom debug blocks, and so much more. There's actually a ton in Scratch add-ons that just make Scratch feel better. One of my favorite features of Scratch add-on is the opacity slider. Okay, so we have this purple square and this green square, but what if we want this to be translucent? Not completely transparent, but translucent. Well, we now have this opacity slider that we wouldn't have gotten in normal Scratch. And here, voila. And I'm not just changing the color, this is real. See? Now, okay, let me just set this back. In Scratch, the closest thing to translucent is when you make a gradient and you have transparent on the other side. See? This part is translucent, but it's a gradient. It's not all the same. So, whether you're like making windows or something else, it's just so useful to have this opacity slider. Don't want to drag this video too long, so that's all for this video. See ya!